Hey guys, Isaiah with YuGiOh Gaming. I have Logan and PJ here with me, and we are going to go over what we believe the best decks are in a tier list going into the new format for TCG. You guys ready for this?
Yeah, let's
get
get
it
going.
Alright. So every tier list, we're going to go from tier 0 down to row. Let you guys know what we think. We're going to start with Eldritch. What do you guys think about Eldritch?
I guess I'll start off. I think Eldritch is, at the beginning of the format, going to be super strong. The fact they got skill drain at 3 and people not having very well defined strategies, it'll definitely make the deck better. But as the format goes on and people adapt to the trap decks, I think that the deck definitely gets worse as time goes on. But week 1, I think it'll be very strong.
I agree with you on the thing with the saying that the deck will get worse as time goes by, especially with like Imperial Order was only a 1-of, but all the back row hate are spell cards, and I think it's going to help playing against that deck, especially if it becomes really popular to the point where people can just play so much back row hate for the deck and not have to worry about it being negated with Imperial Order.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to try it out because really just because skill drain's coming to 3, and that's really the only reason. Other than that, then it's going to get weaker over time. Like
I also think a lot of people are going to play it because there's probably a lot of new players that are playing Master Duel, and they may want to come to the TCG, and they're probably playing this deck because it's on everybody's tier list.
Yeah, I think week 1 it's definitely tier 1.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would agree with you.
It's probably closer to the middle or lower part of tier 1 as we go in, but it's still definitely in the top tier.
I think first week it's probably tier 1. I think it probably goes like right here after later in the format, but we'll see how that shapes out. All right, what do you think about Pendulum?
I think Astrograph does very little, as well. Joker's a little bit more important, just gives the deck extra consistency. I think that's the bigger addition to the deck. But I probably won't. Yeah, they just don't have Electromite in the end. I think it's just one of those crazy combo decks. Like, yeah, if it goes first, it's cool, but it can't go second. So it's probably in the tier 2 category, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say tier 3. I like this deck has a lot of like good boards and everything. I just think this deck is very fragile. I don't like without Electromite this deck. If you stop the deck, you don't really do much. Like you have to have like a perfect hand to get past anything. So,
I would agree with tier 3 if Scythe didn't exist, but this deck can actually.
This deck can play Scythe. Yeah, I can see that. I think tier 2 will work then. What about Bird Up? This is Bird Up with Try.
I think the heavy bird decks are definitely a lot worse. I think if we're gonna see the deck, it'll be definitely with like a heavier try package with like a smaller bird package, like kind of like how the second place I think at the Europe YCS was, or maybe in the American, one of the remote dual YCSs. He came in second, and he just played very small bird lineup. But I think week 1 it's tier 2, but I could definitely see it moving up to like tier 1.5 to tier 2. I don't think it's going into tier 1 category, to be honest.
Yeah, the deck, like we said in the banlist video, it just loses so much structure with Recital going to 1 and Samorg being banned. It just you can't really play through all of your interruptions and still end on a really strong board anymore.
You literally have to open a lot of level
open the nuts, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's skip these and just go to, since we're on the Tri Brigade thing, what do you feel like pure Tri Brigade?
It's tier 1.5.
Think so? You think it's better than just Bird Up?
Yeah, I think it's just all reliable, right? It's just that, the fire fist of the format. It's never going to be the best deck, probably, but it's never going to be the worst, you know what I mean? It's just it's always reliable. It's always there, you know?
Until they hit Fractal, I think it's always going to be a contender in the meta.
Strong deck, for sure.
What about Beat Troopers? We didn't really gain anything or lose anything for that deck.
I'm very high on this deck, rather than most people. I think with Retaliating Sea against the Brave packages that everyone's going to be playing in their decks.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's super strong. I think Sting Lancer destroys DPE decks. I think it's super well placed in the metagame. I definitely would not put it lower than tier 1.5.
I agree.
You think it's not tier 1 going in first? I think it's going to be tier 1.5 now, and then once people realize how the meta is going to be and how strong Brave is going to be, I think it's going to go up.
Then it'll be tier 1, yeah.
It could definitely be tier 1, but at the same time, we just have to see how the format shapes up, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, what about Drytron? We're losing Eva. This is PJ's baby.
I'll let PJ lead on this one because this is his deck.
What do you think's happening to your deck?
You can play without Eva, right? It's just you're getting hit with nib if they have it every time, and you're not stopping it. But you can still make Scythe really easy, and plus you can search any of the good artifacts like Lancia Scythe. So I still think that the fact you can search Lancia like 1.5, because it can still win. You have Draconids. That's a really good card.
I think 1.5. What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, I think with the combination of being able to play Dragoon or DPE with the Megalith or Pure, if you want to go that route, whatever version of the deck you decide to play, I don't think is awful. But I definitely think the Herald of Ultimates package and the Perfection package definitely gets worse without Evo.
100%.
I think if Scythe wasn't still in here, it would go farther down.
I agree.
For sure.
But
I agree.
it just makes Scythe so easy. The DPE as well.
All right. Cyber Dragon, I like this deck. I love this deck, but I just don't think when they took away all extra deck monsters having to go in the extra monster zone, I think it just killed the deck. Like to be one of the better decks, because your board white presence isn't there anymore.
I think the deck's rogue. Like,
Yeah.
until we get good new Cyber Dragon support, I don't see the deck doing much. Unless there's like a crazy machine deck that comes to the forefront of the metagame.
Frank Kids, I'm really excited about this deck. This is the deck I'm currently playing with Brave. I feel like it's going to be really strong. I'm not sure how strong it is, but I feel like it's going to be definitely one of the better decks.
I think it's somewhere between tier 1 and tier 1.5.
Yeah,
Since
for sure.
the Brave package allows you to play through so much.
Yep.
But the thing is, I don't have enough experience with the deck with one Meow Meow to say whether I think it's tier 1 with just the one Meow.
I think if Meow Meow came to 2, it would be tier 1 easy.
Absolutely, but we're not in that realm. So
Yeah.
I would say it's at the top of 1.5, but I wouldn't argue with tier 1 either.
I agree. I think this deck's really strong. With the Brave, like you said, you play through a lot of interruptions with it. You can chain block all your stuff. So I think it's really strong. What about Flew Under? We haven't got their new spell yet. It comes out in Battle of Chaos, right?
Correct. I think until we get the new spell, the deck's just tier 2.
Yeah.
Like, it just loses so hard to hand traps that the deck just needs that spell to be viable whatsoever.
Yeah, it'll probably go up maybe here when the new spell comes out. Like,
Yeah,
the spell helps it a
see that.
lot, but I don't know if it's going to be like the best deck.
One good thing that did happen was the fact that birds did get slaughtered on the list allows you to play Barrier Statue and it not just get beat over super easy.
That is good. I just wish Impin was Starlight. That's all we worry about. Alright, Cosmo. It's always going to be in Rogue. This deck's not good.
If we could put it below Rogue, we could. We would.
We don't have another tier. It's not good. I don't think this deck was good when it was good. It's just me.
I'm definitely not putting Cosmo on the same tier as Cyber Dragon.
Yeah, not a
Go way over here.
But yeah, there's not much to say about the deck. The 3 HLA is not.
I mean, it helps it. Like, if you play, if this is your baby deck, that's good. And the untargetable monsters are good, but the deck's just, it's always going to have the same problems. And it's always going to be, it's going to be a road deck. Like, you may squeeze out a win here and there, but you're not going to win a YCS deck.
For sure.
If you like heroes.
I think heroes are good, but you have to be very good with the deck. I think it's tier 2. I wouldn't put it above tier 2. But if you have someone very good piloting the deck and know all the ins and outs of the deck, I could definitely see the deck topping a big event.
Yep, I agree with you. I think the deck still has its problems where it loses to Nibiru and such, but like you said, if you know how to play around certain areas of play, certain hand traps and everything, I feel like you can do really well with the deck.
Yeah.
Alright, we got Salad. We got more circles now. I feel like it doesn't really change the deck, though. I feel like this is probably a deck like Heroes. The player is probably going to be the pilot, where you go.
Now that I'm looking at the decks in tier 2, are we okay with putting Pendulum in tier 3?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because this tier 3 is looking stacked, then there's Pen.
Arguably, you could even put Flunder in tier 3, to be honest. But yeah, I would say Salad and Flunder's about the same tier, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
I think Salad goes here. I just think it's not going
Yeah.
to change anything. I think the deck's going to have its random tops, but I think
Actually,
until
day
you get
is just
everything
Salad.
back, it's not going to be anything. And I feel like this deck is just kind of crept out. Like, even if you have everything, it's never going to be the best deck it was.
I would imagine it has a very good Eldritch matchup though,
Yeah, probably.
with just Rage.
If
Right.
the meta becomes overrun with Eldritch, I could see it being a really good deck. But
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I think it's just going to stay low. I hate the deck. I hate playing against the deck. We got another trap deck. We have Altergeist.
No, I think Altergeist is tier 3. I think
Yeah.
they can abuse skill drain, which is a thing because
Protocol.
protects them, right?
Yeah.
So like you can abuse your 3 skill drains, but like you're just a worst Eldritch deck at that point.
Taker's a good card, but it's only so good. You know, one bounce is only so good in the meta.
The problem with the Altergeist deck is it runs out of steam, right?
Yep.
Like either you draw you have to draw a perfect combination of monsters and traps, where Eldritch you can just draw traps and your traps get to your engine.
If they had a
Which is a huge
searchable
difference.
trap that was like spoofing, then I think it would be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
I can see that.
we have our only tier 0 deck is Lightsworn. No, this
I
is,
definitely think it's Rogue.
yeah, it is Rogue, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we'll definitely be having some profiles of this bad boy up there. The deck, we don't. I feel like 40 card Lightsworn decks doesn't do enough, and we don't have like grass to go in a 60 card deck, so your deck's just too inconsistent. You have
I
to
mean,
open a
Fairy Tale
perfect hand.
Snow is a powerful card.
Yeah, but you
do
have to
some
open a
crazy
perfect
things.
hand to get a board, you know, like maybe going second and trying to kill somebody, but like you're not going to set up a board that can compete with everything else without ways to get everything in the graveyard.
Yeah. I feel like most people who are playing Lightsworn at this point are people who just love Lightsworn, not really people who are trying to win tournaments.
Rip me.
There's just nothing wrong with that.
Virtual World, I think this is going to be one of the best decks.
I agree.
I
You
think,
can abuse the Brave package.
like, I would say this is probably better than Eldritch.
I can agree with that.
I think the deck's still probably going to have its problems, but the thing is you can use the Brave package and block the problem. So
It also helps those hands where you open Quinglong and you brick with no monsters,
Mhm.
because the Brave package causes you to discard. But I think people overvalue the discard. They act like that they could just discard a million cards, but they have to realize that Quinglong, I really hope I'm pronouncing that card's name correctly, also allows you to discard. So just discarding Quinglong with your Brave package, you've already discarded 2 cards out of your hand. So, you know, I think that's something to be wary about. I think people overvalue the discarding at certain times in certain decks, and I think this may be one of those decks.
I would agree with you. I mean, this deck's really scary. I don't think it's going to be like it's not going to be as bad as when VFD was here, but it's going to be, you're going to see this deck.
I mean,
If you-
Shin Shin's broken, right?
Yeah,
Like,
if you play
Shin
an
is
event,
busted.
you better be ready to play against Virtual World. That's just how it is.
Sure.
We're not talking about my favorite deck. If
Union
Union Carrier
Union.
was here, then maybe
Yeah.
tier 3, but it's not gonna happen. This is the Earth Machine deck. I don't think it does enough. Like, shout out to Fox. He wants to play this deck. He probably thinks it's up high, but I just don't
I
think
mean,
the
that deck could
does
probably
enough.
play Skill Drain, right? Play.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
um,
Like, I just think it's rogue though.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
yeah.
The deck's cool though. The deck does some cool things.
I mean, yeah, they like have a pot of avarice, which is
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Who about Live Twins?
Tier 3, probably.
Tier 3.
Yeah. I mean, that deck just, like, it's kind of like Salad. It does the same
Yeah.
thing every single time.
Yep.
But the thing it does isn't, like, overly powerful. It's just, like, fine.
It's a pretty deck though.
It is pretty deck.
I mean, we're rating this on artwork. It'd probably be like it's a tier 1. Tier
Yeah.
actually, but
Um,
we're not.
I've never played the deck, but I have played against the deck, and I played against it at the PS5 tournament we went to. And
Played against it a few times.
the guy he did the same thing every turn. You just stop it every turn. Like
Yeah.
Danger deck. We got 3 Nessie, but I feel like it's still gonna be a road deck.
I think it's worse than what it was.
Yeah, because Protoss was gone. So
No,
mean-
I think the reason that it's worse is because I feel like most Danger decks played like so Dangers get their value from having more cards, right?
yeah,
So like they would use cards like Pot of Desires
That's
to
fair.
draw more cards.
it hurts the
And Pot of
consistency. You know,
Desires
you
is
got
a
3
once.
Nessie.
Oh, you got 3 Nessie, cool, but you lost 2 Desires, so like your deck kind of got worse probably. So That's my opinion. But there could be decks that play a Danger Engine though. Like
Yeah.
that's different. Like, but I think decks like Grand Maju, whenever I see Danger, at least that's where my mind goes to. It's
Yeah.
like a deck like Grand Maju, and that deck definitely got worse. Without with the one desires.
I do that. I feel about PK. I think it's probably the best deck in the
good.
format.
I think it's the only deck that's arguably tier 0.
Yep.
Yep.
You wanna...
Because like you still have Scythe, plus you have the Brave stuff.
I don't know if I would put this at tier 0. I feel like tier 0 is such a high thing, but it's definitely better than every other deck in the format.
Like, I think that deck just does everything that you need to do, and its weaknesses are so small that, like, it's just better than everything else.
Yeah. I'm going to change this to 0.5.
That's fair.
Like, it's not, like, in my opinion, tier 0 is if you're playing the deck, you're winning every game unless you're, like, you should win every game unless you're playing mirror matches. Now, it's like, you're not going to win every game with the deck, but the deck is just so high above everything else.
I mean, if you full combo with PK, your win rate's probably in like the 80%.
Yeah,
probably somewhere in there.
Sky Striker, I think it just stays down here. I don't think it's.
I think it's a little higher.
Yeah, I think it's at least 1.5 for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think it's as powerful as like.
And whenever we get the new spell card, dude, I mean, insane.
Going into week 1, I just think. I don't know.
He does have a good Eldritch matchup. That
is true.
That is something.
That probably helps it a lot. I don't know. Fusion Destiny going to 2 hurts like its power play.
It does.
It hurts, but
okay. I feel like Invoked is probably one of the best decks.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's tier 1 for sure.
Yeah. The only thing that changed was Fusion Destiny and Adir. It hurts your consistency a little bit, but it just has the same stuff. Like, you still have Alistair, you still have Winda, you still have all of that stuff.
I think I haven't played the deck obviously with the 2 Nadir and 2 whatever Fusion Destiny. If it is a consistency problem, that's the only reason why I would drop it down.
Yep.
It's not power level. Its power level is arguably as powerful as PK, right? Like, it's super strong.
Yep.
But its consistency is what dudes like. It definitely hurts the invoked strategies it always has.
Yeah, the thing with the Invoke deck is you have so many starter cards, but like the PK deck is you're playing 40 cards and 35 of them are starter cards. Like you can start on almost everything. With Invoked, you have probably 15 starter cards, and if you don't open a starter card, then you're not playing. Like you gotta wait to get your starter card out. Or if your starter cards are normal summons, and if they get stopped, then you're just there.
That, and you have to draw multiple starter cards sometimes, and that's when it starts becoming a problem.
Yep. I love this deck. I've been playing the past couple months, but I feel like that's the problem with the deck. Sharks.
I think it's Rogue, but I do not know what the deck does. I just know it can do some crazy stuff when we get those new cards. I think we haven't got those yet, right? In the Legendary Duelist.
I like this deck. I think it could be higher. I don't know if it's going to go above tier 2, but I feel like everybody's trying to play too gimmicky with the deck. Yeah. Like, some people are turning this into the stall deck. Some people are doing XYZ spams this deck. I feel like this deck has potential, but everyone's just playing it wrong. I don't know how to play it, but I just feel like there's a different way to play the deck than people are doing it.
It's kind of like the Beat Trooper deck in the beginning, right? Everyone tried to play it in like 5 different ways, and then eventually everybody's like, hey, this is the way you play it. And
I think this deck very well could be one of the best decks at some point.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
Well, I don't mean like tier 0. I mean like just one of the top played decks. Speedroids.
I'll let PJ take this one.
Hey, where you want to go with this one?
This deck's good. It just, say tier 3, just because like if they stop your normal summon, like you have to have the extender, or else you're literally just passing. But whenever the deck pops off, it can play through a lot, and the extra decks it's really good because you have like Kai Drake, and then you have you play like Baron, you play Clear Wing, like Shin Shin, really good cards in the extra deck. So I think it's tier 3.
I think the deck has a very high ceiling, but I think it's very fragile.
Yeah, you get like Ash or Valor, you literally have to have the card turbo to special from hand to even keep on playing at that point.
What do you think, Logan?
I agree with that, yeah.
What about Sword Soul?
Tier 1. Like,
yeah,
I mean, like, Protoss was a huge, like, not a huge hit, but it was a big hit. but
It's just like
It hurts
an
his
additional
PK
power
matchup.
they had.
like
Yeah.
it's just a better tri brigade, right?
Yep.
Now?
I think the deck's still strong.
With the death spot stuff, pretty interesting stuff you can do with it, for sure.
Yeah, that's we have that lower. This is just like pure like Tenu Sword Soul, like regular Tenu Sword Soul.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then we have the Tenu deck.
So this is more. I wanted to explain this real quick. This is more like a speculation rather than a deck that's already like been formed. So in the OCG they have this Brave Tenu deck that basically plays very little Sword Soul cards. It's mainly focused on the Tenus and maybe other packages to make Needle Fiber and be able to combo and make a board through that. And that's what this deck is. And we think it'll definitely be a deck in the metagame because we were already trying stuff like that and we're getting Brave. And I think this deck's going to be tier 1. Yes, it lost Protos, and that was like one of the big things of its combo. But it can like this deck, like if you can get to just make Needle, you can make like equivalent to a full Sword Soul board with just Needle Fiber, and that's super strong.
I haven't seen this deck, so I don't really have any input on it. But from what you're saying, like telling me, it seems like it's going to be. If we can figure out how to make it work here without Protos, I feel like it's going to be a high tier deck too. I feel like it's also going to be a deck that's going to be. Like we were talking about Salad's more of the player making it a good deck. Like I feel like it might not be a deck that anybody can pick up and just do really well with.
It's definitely a complicated deck. Any deck with a Roarodon and stuff like that's definitely not easy to play.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about Dragon Link?
My heart says tier 1.5, but my gut says tier 2.
Yeah, because definitely not tier 3, just too good. Like
I think
deck's
Brave
tier
is very
3.
good in the deck. The fact that the token's level 4, so you can like make if they do stop your Brave stuff, you can just get the token on board. You can just make Chaos Ruler with that's really strong. As well as like the Brave packages allows this deck to kill even faster. I think this deck's just super strong.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I like the deck. I think the deck is always going to be in the meta somehow until they get rid of all the really powerful Dragon Links. Like the deck just had like there's so many Dragon cards, and this deck is always going to be be able to play the game. Like it's just how it is. Especially with the Brave engine, like it just protects the problems in the deck now, which is what the Brave engine does for everything. Tratrix is Rogue. This deck it just doesn't do what everybody wanted it to do. It's just a worse Altergeist and worse Eldritch deck.
Yeah.
Dinosaur.
Misk is a 1.
Yeah. You think it's Rogue or tier 3?
I think it's Rogue. Like, if Misk was at 3, we'd be talking like tier 2 probably somewhere in there, but it's just not.
The scrap stuff that came out like helped it, but it just still doesn't have Mist to 3 anymore.
Yep. Conductor's a hell of a card, but it doesn't do enough. Like your deck is very fragile. Alright, so that's all of our decks. So now we have our 2 engines. We have the Brave engine. I don't know, like, if you haven't read up on the Brave engine, you're missing out, because this is going to change the way the game is played for the next while. Like, the Brave engine is going to be in most of your top decks.
For sure.
I think it's definitely tier 0.5.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, if we're talking engines, power-wise, I think that Brave just allows so many decks that not only, like, people think it's just an Omni negate, it's actually just way more than that. It just gives you 2 free bodies to link, climb. The token's 2,000 attack, which most people just do not know. That you can just, like, the Brave engine by itself is, like, 4,000 damage. Like, not only can it allows decks like Prankids to really put damage in, like, out of nowhere, but also it just allows them to play through hand traps and stuff and chain block their effects, so. The engine's just insane. It's probably the best engine we've seen since Zoo, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think, like, it's definitely an engine. Don't forget that this is not a deck. We're not saying Brave as its own deck is 3.5. It's you definitely got to include it with, like, Phantom Knights and everything. But, like, as of new cards going into this format, it is an engine. It's definitely the best thing we got going on for us.
100%, dude. It's just crazy.
How do you feel about the punk cards?
I like them. I think with E-Tele at 3, if people don't really know what the punk cards do, I think you should definitely read up on them. They're not all like insane. Like, I'm not talking about they're in their own deck, but E-Tele, they allow E-Tele by itself to become a 1-card needle.
Against their tuners.
Which is crazy because without your normal summon, you can make Needle and then go into like Auroradon and stuff without even normal summoning. That's just insane. I think the engine, I could definitely see it just being tier 1.
Yep.
But I can also see it being tier 3.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's why I'm gonna put it at tier 2
We just have
because
to see like what decks it gets played with.
yeah, that's why I'm gonna put it at tier 2
And
now
like
as
how
we're
good
going in
those
the
are.
first week. But I feel like after the first couple weeks or so, when people start figuring out what it is, it might go up a little bit, or it could go down. But I feel like
It
going
just has to get
in
established
to
first.
the week, if people try, I feel like it's gonna be like around the middle.
Yeah.
You guys cool with this list? You want to change anything? You have anything else to include? Was there another deck in here you wanted to include?
The only deck that I've seen in this list that I could see moving is Drytron. I could see Drytron going down to tier 2.
Yeah.
I feel like this deck is if it didn't have Scythe, I don't think it'd be here. But
I agree.
I think it's the best deck in the tier 2 category.
Just
So it's
because,
like at the edge in between 1.5 and tier 2 probably.
I
understandable.
mean, yeah, because like it has insane left follow. Because like the Drotrons are always live if you even have a name. But yeah, it's definitely not. Dude, like let's be honest, it's not. It's probably not going to top again.
Do we want to like arrange the tiers like what we think the best deck in each tier is?
Yeah, we can. You said PK, Virtual
PK's
World.
obvious.
Yeah.
In the tier 1 category, I think that either regular Tenu, like the Tenu deck, or the Sword Soul deck's going to be the best. I think in tier 1. And then it probably goes Virtual World, Eldritch, and then Invoked, probably in that order.
Yeah.
I think this is probably 1.5.
Yeah. I
yeah.
think
Maybe
Try might be a little bit better than Striker, yeah. Something like that.
We'll put the engines at the end anyway.
I think Bird. We'll just keep the engines at the end. Yeah. I think Bird is probably the worst deck in tier 2.
Think so?
Yeah. It might be a little bit better than Hero actually.
Yeah,
I think these two decks
it
are going to be
goes-
better than the player, based on the player.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then tier 3, this deck, I don't know.
I think Flunder is probably the best deck in tier 3.
I'd say Flunder then Live Twin Speedroid or Speedroid Live Twin.
Yeah, I can see that.
You think Pendulum is better than Salad, or you think it's the worst deck
Yeah,
in tier 3?
definitely.
Yeah. No, I think all.
I think this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to do Rogue. Like, these decks are just.
Last one to the top, baby.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm happy with this. I think this is a good list.
you guys have any
Yeah,
more input?
solid. No, it's everything for me.
I think that people shouldn't be afraid to try things.
Yep.
And experiment with things because I do not think this is going to be like just the same old format that we just played. Definitely try things out. Try decks that you've never tried before, especially with these new Brave cards and Punk cards, and who knows, you might discover one of the best decks that we haven't even put on here.
We didn't talk about the Despia deck actually.
I don't think
I think we
Despia. I think Despia is not going to be a meta contender until the new structure deck comes out. I think it'd probably be around Rogue or tier 3.
Maybe be a little bit better than that, but we'll just wait. We'll just wait and let someone figure it out.
We'll give you guys an updated list after the format shapes up a little bit.
For sure.
All right, well, that's Goo's tier list. I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys have any crazy decks that we didn't talk about and you want to know the way we see it, let us know. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.